All right, I think we have enough that we can get started. Well, welcome to the second Paragon office hours. My name's Matt Van Stelly, and I'm the product manager at Paragon. I have Jonathan Combs with me as well, who has worked on a lot of our docs and training. We are very grateful for. And just say up front that this will be recorded as well. We'll make that available to you guys. So the purpose of these office hours is it's meant to be very, very informal, a place where you guys can bring your questions, and there's no formal agenda. We're just gonna, we're here to answer your questions and talk to each other, and feel free to post in the chat or unmute yourself and talk as you need to. And people will keep joining us as we go. That's fine. And we will demonstrate some things, go over some of the latest features in Paragon. Quick disclaimer at the start that we might talk about some future things that are coming at Paragon, and I'll talk freely about those. But if they're not released, they're not official. So things are subject to change. But we can talk about whatever you guys would like to see. All right, so we are here to solve your problems. In a minute, I'm going to ask if you guys brought any problems with you that we can work through together. And refining your skills and your use of the software, just connecting with each other, and learning new things is what we're here for. So these are the things that you guys asked for, signing up for office hours. So things like learning from each other, more detailed information about Paragon, learning how other people use the software, what are some new tools and techniques. All right, did anybody bring anything with them that we can go over? It's quite all right if you didn't. Well, as things come up, just shout them out here or in the meeting chat. So at this point, I will switch screens. And Jonathan, if you could help me by keeping an eye on the chat, that would be great.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody's seeing Paragon now. Awesome. So we're proud of the fact that we make changes frequently, but I understand that makes it hard to keep up with everything. So here are some of the things that have changed since the last office hour, which was about a month ago, I believe. We made some improvements to bearing insertion. So I'm going to start actually by pulling up an underlay. We'll talk about some adjustments there as well. Let's pull that one up. And we're at 1/4 inch for the scale on this one. That's also new, is if you know the scale, you can just type it in. Didn't always have that. And I'm going to use this to show our changes to bearing insertion. So you'll notice that I start out in snapping mode. And instead of forcing you to be at 0, 0, some of you might have encountered that before. And I'm going to pick, let's see, I've got 5-inch bearings on this particular layout. And I do want to add roof planes automatically as I go. So now I'm going to pick my starting point, and you'll notice I get dimensions as I go. So I can be confirming that those are what I expect before I actually click and say, yes, that's the bearing I want. So that is what that looks like. I also I'm going to show you, and yeah, please stop me at any point as you guys have questions. Another nice feature is as you are creating your truss envelopes before you turn them into trusses, you can now hover over truss envelopes and you'll get the length of the envelope, which is a way to kind of to help you verify, make sure that you've put in what you expected. So we've got length and height now. And another big one, I will turn that back into a truss. Another significant one, this is not brand new, but it is from the last few months, is truss groups. This feature has kind of an eye toward the multifamily world. We think a lot of people can find use for it, and so this is exactly what it sounds like. I hope I can select a group of trusses, and from there I can say create a truss group, and so that's going to keep track of the component designs that belong to the group, as well as their quantities. So there's the component design view, so I can see what's in there. And I can nest groups inside of each other, right? So for example, if I'm breaking down a level into sections or units or whatever your organization's terminology is, those are the types of things that you can do with groups. Right, so now that I've got that group, maybe I want to take this one. I can create a group from there. I can edit groups once they exist. I can, go pick new trusses to add to that group. And yeah, hopefully the features that you guys would expect. And those are going to be, saved to the project, so I can come back and see those at any time, and they even show up when you hover, which is handy. Let's see. So I showed you guys uploading an underlay. There are a few improvements that I did show you, and I was kind of bearing the lead. Because you can now also upload multiple underlays. So I'll just upload the same one again for demonstration purposes, but you'll see I now have those as separate underlays. And I can control them, and they are, if I refresh this page, they're still going to be there. when I come back. And that means I can also make adjustments. So if I hit the configure button, I can give it a name. I can adjust the scale, and I can do things like moving it around, right? So if I want this one to be 50 feet over there, maybe a little further. Now I've got those underlays that are no longer stacked up. And rotation is also relatively new. So if I want to tilt that, or more likely, right, it's going to be a, just 90 degrees or 180 from what you expected, something like that. And of course, I can get rid of them as well. And let's see, did I miss anything there? Oh yeah, and they also show up here. See, and I'll mention a coming soon feature is the ability to get exactly this, but with CAD files. So like a DXF, for example. So being able to pull that in and see a similar looking underlay with the information from there. Jonathan, you can use the underlay for larger multifamily units to bring in the floors that may be on separate sheets and align them to use to trace. Yes, that's a great point, Jonathan. So let's say I'm in a project that has buildings and levels, right? And I've got, level 1 is the roof, and level 2 is the floor. And I've got one underlay, right? I've got separate underlays for those walls. Maybe I need to reference the walls that I used to input the floor level while I'm designing the roof level, for example. You can do that. You can choose which underlay you want to see at any given time. So yeah, so great help when you're working with levels. All right, I'll keep going through my list unless anybody has any notes or questions. Another thing that I've been looking forward to for a while is shift select in the sidebars. So that has a lot of uses. So yeah, anything that can be multi-selected, you should be able to also shift select to get a group of things. So let's jump over to the component design world for an example. So that means, let's say I want to select all the webs. In this truss, it's pretty easy to do that, multi-selecting in the scene like so. But it's a little harder to get all the top chords, for example, right? With the box that we have available. So I can just go find member T1, click, and shift click T3. I've got all the top chords. And there's another thing that is new is we didn't always let you set the member type in bulk, but you can do that now too. So turns out those are actually bottom chords. And of course, I can edit the lumber and things like that. That I'm sure many of you know, but But yeah, I know you guys are all at different levels of experience and things. So make sure I don't miss the fundamentals. Right. On that note, I'm going to transition to, some things that, especially when you're new to Paragon, you may not think of right away. It might be something new to some of you. Might be something you've missed in the training, or you haven't gotten to yet. So things like reference lines. So I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut Control-9 to turn on reference lines. Right. So these are the underlying definitions of the truss members, and tell all of the objects where to go, where to stop, that sort of thing. And so, right. So for example, this W2 member has cuts on the ends, and those are all defined by reference lines under the hood. All right, and if I try to edit this, then it's going to automatically turn those on for me. You guys might have seen this. And so I can make adjustments, right, telling it to go find a different reference line. All right, so this is make this like a single cut web, right? I would just remove the cut against this reference line. So it can be helpful. I'm going to use the shift-click shortcut to fix that. Right, and you'll see it picked up the line that it had before. So another one is splices. So if I can select a splice in the scene, and of course I can move it with these arrows, but I can also specify a distance relative to the end of the truss just by typing in these fields. Helps you get splices, and that can be really helpful for aligning splices across different chords. Getting making sure your truss ends up symmetrical. That's a good handy trick there. All right, a word about locking. So yeah, tell me guys if you guys have run into this. So we have a few options here in the lock menu. And so let's start with locking lumber, right? So I can lock lumber for the whole truss. And what that means is when I hit analyze, it's not going to try to upgrade members automatically. It's going to hold them all where they are. It's the same thing if I do that for all the members at one time. So if I select them all, right click, hit lock, it's doing essentially the same thing. And what that means is I can, if I need to, I can just unlock members, lock and unlock members one at a time. So lock just this web, and actually that's happening automatically when you make a change to one of these properties. So if I say I want that web to be number 1, then it becomes locked automatically, right? So this member right now is unlocked. I can lock it, change that to number 2. Now it's locked, right? I have the option to unlock it. And if I reanalyze the truss, right, those are by default, those are going to end up, those are going to get the way I remember upgrades work. If I look in the material settings, I see that webs have a grade of number 3. And so when I hit that analyze button and to initiate the member upgrade process, it's going to set all the webs to number 3, and then try to upgrade them from there if needed. But you'll notice these two didn't change, right? Because I had them locked. So that's, yeah, a pretty useful feature. And plates are going to be a similar concept. So especially, right? So let's say maybe you're an engineer doing as-built analysis, right? And so you know exactly what plates are on this truss, and you've gone and matched, a truss in the real world. You still want to be able to analyze the truss, but you don't want it replated after you've already got the plates you want. So that is a similar concept where, if I've set this to exactly what I want, right? Go inspect this menu, hover over here, you see plate 4, right? We're in a partially locked state. We have not locked all plating, we've just locked some of it. And if I hover over, it's just plate 4 that's locked at the moment, because I made a change to one of its properties. Jonathan says reference lines can also be used to assist in placing other members needed, like on a gable end or adding in other webs at a set angle or distance, even at a set of equal distances. Yeah, let's show off a few more of those features. So I think what I'm gonna show there is, let's just get rid of the webs of this truss, and let's show that if I want to add a member, right? Remember that the concept is similar if I'm directly inserting the reference lines. If you're inserting a member, right, then it's inserting reference lines, behind the scenes for you. So I'll start there. So, right, there are at least 5 different ways. Maybe I should have zoomed in my screen. Let me know if at any point if things are hard to see. But yeah, there are 5 different ways to insert a member. Maybe I'll just run through those quickly. So I've got the point-to-point option, right? So I choose 2 intersections, point to point. Hit the delete key to get rid of that. I've got the point slope option. So here's a point, and notice I've got this angle indicator. As long as I'm, out in space, right, until I hit an intersection, it's going to assume that I just want a member in that direction. So right at 25 degrees, I can insert that. And if I look in advanced, yeah, you can find out what the angle is that you entered. And next one, parallel. So if I pick any line, right, maybe I want it parallel to T1, I can go parallel based off that line. Delete. Parallel based off of this line. It's going to look like that. Perpendicular is going to be a line followed by an intersection. Right, so if I pick this line, okay, I'm in parallel mode. Now I pick an intersection. I'm going to get a web that's exactly perpendicular to T1 for its definition. And the last one is a division line, which again is going to start out as a parallel line. You notice I have these controls that pop up when when I do that. And I'm going to hit the plus and minus keys on my keyboard. Oh, that's right. And when I choose a second line, right, I'm dividing up the space between two lines. When I hover over that second line, it's going to show me the equal divisions, however many equal divisions I asked for, right? So that I can make that however many I need. So I can gable this truss by hand if I want to. Let's see. All right. Any questions about anything we've covered so far? I'll use reweb truss to kind of reset and get back to a more typical state. Okay. The component list, I should have mentioned that shift select also works over here. I think I overlooked that. So that is yeah, pretty handy. And one thing we don't have yet is a way to delete all. You can end up with kind of some extra trusses that are not linked to truss envelopes. So I guess an easy way would just be to copy this one, right? So I've got some linked trusses and I have some unlinked trusses, right? So those linked trusses were generated from the layout and they're associated with some object in the layout. And if I hit filter, right, I can see just the ones that are not. And we don't have a delete all button, but we do have shift select now to make it a little easier to select everything that's in there, hit delete, and clean those up really easily. All right, next one is detailed analysis. And that is, we have it off by default because it's a little bit slower than regular analysis. And the reason it's slower is because it is logging a little bit more information as we go. So I turn on detailed in here. And I would recommend doing this if you're asking an engineer to seal your trusses. They might appreciate having extra information, and where that extra information shows up is in this analysis and history panel. So when I expand these, I can see a little bit more detail about the actual TPI checks and their statuses, right? Whereas for just a regular analysis, like I did on this one, it's just gonna summarize at the top level. Yes, Jared, I was very excited when shift select came out as well. Glad it's been useful. Right. All right. One more thing on my list is you'll notice as I went through this truss, I analyzed it a few different times. Right. So you might. So yeah. And so what I'm showing you here is all the different versions of the truss. You can see the history of each time it was analyzed and what it looked like. Right. So on this one here, this we'll make it more obvious. Right. So now I can see how the lumber properties have changed over time. Right here, they're all number 3. In this version, right, I lock some as number 1, number 2, and the rest number 3, right? And then totally different webbing configuration. And what's neat is I can view what the truss was like at that time, including all of its check results and what the loading looked like, that sort of thing. And I can also restore any of those old versions and make them current. So now I've got new changes that have not yet been analyzed. I can get rid of those, and then it's going to revert me back to the most recent analyzed version. So there's the most recent analyzed version. But if I want to take this version and make it current, then I can just close this and run with the truss as it was back then. Well, analyze that, and yeah, you can see the whole history of the truss and kind of compare, how did the results change over time, and that could include things like how did the price change, things like that, as I made changes. Jared, any future ideas with scabs for tail-bearing trusses so that a nailing pattern can be confirmed by a third-party engineer? Let's see. Yeah, Jared just says scabs in general is definitely in our backlog, something that we would like to add. So Jared, it sounds like you would like to, you're talking about specifying a scab before you send it to an engineer and getting it verified. So yeah, I do think that would be covered by that feature. And stay tuned for updates on that. Yeah, and I know like one scenario where it gets used by a truss manufacturer is you've just got too much deflection on like an overhang, something like that, and you need to scab it for reinforcement. Of course, engineers use those for repairs. Excuse me, repairs, or when a truss needs reinforcement out in the field. And yeah, those are all things on our radar for sure. And it's always helpful to hear that would be useful to someone. So appreciate that, the nudge. Jared, could you look into an add-on to the layout hover tool for truss-to-truss differential deflections? Okay, I might need some more context.
Talk with you.
Yeah, that'd be great, Jay.
So like in the layout tool,
yeah,
and you're going from truss to truss to truss in a run, and you need to watch for differential deflection between those trusses, especially in like a hip truss where you have truss A and truss B is right beside it. You want to make sure that those differential deflections are within 0.24 of each other. I don't know if there's a way to add that differential deflection once the trusses are all analyzed. So you can just hover and say, okay, that one's 0.17, the next one's 0.22, the next one's have that different deflection so you can watch it in not real time, but you can just hover over it.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of going back to the engineering and going through every truss.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. I'll make sure we have that on the backlog. So yeah, right now you're going to be jumping in to each truss, right, and looking at the reactions, and then jumping into each truss that is carried by it is really what you're talking about.
Oh, the differential deflections between truss span, like in a run of trusses. You don't want one truss is maybe it's a little taller. It doesn't have
Got
a
it.
tray in it. So the truss that has a tray, and it's going to have a little more deflection in the middle than the one that has a common truss next to it.
Okay.
So there could be a
Got it.
differential deflection between those two.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely.
How about attic trusses?
Sure. Is that from Jared?
Yeah, that was me again. Sorry.
Okay. No, great. Yeah, we have some attic truss tools that are in beta, and I wouldn't mind showing off kind of the current state of things, but they need a little bit more polish before we open them up to everybody. But I can show a little preview. All right, and something like, all right, 12-12 slope attic truss. There you have it. And I can customize some things. Like the width of the room. I can swap to a single beam floor and adjust the depth of that floor. So yeah, definitely not every feature that you would want, but I think a pretty good start. Right, I can adjust the webbing of that floor. Different settings that you can adjust. Swap to K-Web. So yeah, stay tuned. We look forward to being able to release those to everybody. Yeah, well, all right. Well, so unless we think of anything else, I'll end with a reminder of some of our online resources. We've got the docs site, docs.paragontrust.com. And yeah, Randy did a nice walkthrough of some things that are available in the last office hours. Why don't I just show it as well? There's our doc site. And you can also get to the training site from here. Paragon training. And we've got an FAQ, which we are updating all the time. We have a pretty good search function here, including an AI-powered search if you're struggling to find the thing that you need. And we have we do have a link to the status site here as well. So if you're wondering, is it just me or is it everyone? You can always ask us, or you can check this status site.
Matt, Jared had another question.
Awesome. Have you seen any issues with plates being placed outside of the truss profile? Let's see. I think it would. I'm guessing that's happening. Yeah. I don't think so, but it sounds like you might have encountered that a time or two. Would that be like do you have like a tray or something? Is there a certain feature of the truss, I wonder? Yeah, definitely. If you, as you run into those, you can send those to help@paragontrust.com. And yeah, we'll be glad to take a look if there's some improvements needed in the plating algorithm. And since I'm still sharing the screen, right? And you know, in that case, or right, I think you know this, Jared. But if I can move a truss around, and I can even just kind of nudge it just by clicking one arrow, and that'll move it just a 16th at a time by default. Right. So if I have a truss that's somewhere I don't want it, I can get it back into position pretty easily. Got it. All right. Yeah, Jared. Yeah, happy to take a look at those trusses. Appreciate the report. Yeah, what would you guys like to hear about in the next session? Feel free to post some things while they're fresh on your mind.
Matt, you might show quickly like the difference between in the component side, the component list.
Yeah.
The difference between like a passed truss and a failed truss. You showed the linked and the unlinked, but you might just show the color differences between like a pass and a fail. I know it's real simple, but
sure.
Just more things in the component list that it allows us to see, or the users to see on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to, you can see pretty easily. So we're showing it to you with colors, green versus red. And then we have also the reason right below it. So this is green because checks pass, and this one down here is red because the check is exceeded. And then to find out, more, I guess I'll show you all the visual cues. So if I color trusses by capacity, I can see the reason. We've got some plates that are struggling at the heels on this heavy girder. And then I can also look at the analysis panel, find out just which load cases are over capacity, and dig into those to figure out what's going on. Yeah, good note, Jonathan. All right, let us know. You can let us know. Send us an email if you do think of things that you'd like us to go over in the next office hour. Always looking for feedback on how we can make this as helpful as possible. Hopefully you guys found it valuable. Appreciate you spending the time with us. Any last parting thoughts from anyone? All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Great to connect with you all for a little bit. And yeah, look forward to hearing more from you guys in the future.